on the efforts centered around alleviating the humanitarian crisis at Mass Ave and Melniak Boulevard and throughout the city. I'm here with many key leaders who have been working day and night to ensure that all of our efforts are coordinated on this front, some of whom you will be hearing from later. Dr. Monica Burrell, Senior Advisor and really running point on these issues. Sheila Dillon, our Chief of Housing. Dr. Basola Ojikutu, Executive Director of the Boston Public Health Commission. Superintendent Gerard Bailey of the Boston Police Department. Lieutenant Peter Messina of the Street Outreach Team with the BPD, also joined on his first day by Officer Peter Mascrotolo from BPD as well. Thank you for your efforts. Our Chief of Streets, Yasha Franklin Hodge, who will be discussing our public works efforts. And thank you to Mike Browell, who isn't here today, but has been very involved and ran a wonderful first snowstorm. Thank you. And of course, our Fire Commissioner, Chief Jack Dempsey. So I just want to give a brief summary of where we've been, as well as where we're headed this next couple days into this week and beyond. So just to start with the big picture, our efforts here at Mass and Cass have been driven by a public health and housing-led approach. The encampments that we see and that some individuals have been living in for a number of years at this point are not a safe or healthy place for anyone to be living. There's no heat, no running water, poor sanitation. We've seen a number of fires because folks are trying to stay a little bit warm with propane tanks. We have seen ongoing issues around frostbite and hypothermia as the temperatures drop. And so we're really approaching past the point of urgency here. Tomorrow, we will see even more urgency as temperatures continue to drop. What we are putting forth is, and what we have been implementing, is a new approach, a truly individualized approach based on meeting each person where they are and identifying the specific health and housing needs of each resident at the encampments, working with them day in and day out. In December, the Boston Public Health Commission surveyed those living in the area, identifying 145 people who were living there between the dates of the survey, December 6th and December 8th. Almost all individuals who were surveyed then stated that they'd like to move into low-threshold housing, but that many of the existing shelter options were not meeting their needs. We also spoke with individuals about their medical and health conditions, about their journey to recovery, and truly established that for the vast majority of people there, nearly every single person living in the encampments, the right solution, the ideal dream, was to find low-threshold supportive housing wrapped around with medical services. We've seen efforts in the past where tents had been cleared, but then reemerged elsewhere. And this happens when we fall short in terms of connecting people to appropriate housing and services. Since then, up until now, there have not only been ongoing efforts to connect people into that low-threshold supportive housing which has been created, but daily meetings coordinating across our agencies and service providers, running through the list person by person based on relationship building, based on those ongoing daily conversations that are happening right on the street. And so these efforts don't just start this week. I very much want to express all of our gratitude to the many city and community organizations that have been involved. I especially want to highlight Boston Public Health Commission's outreach teams, who have been on the ground for years, working with residents at the encampments and truly building relationships to meet people where they are. After the survey was done, on December 16th, city staff notified people living in the encampments that tents would not be permitted in the area after January 12th, and that the city's outreach teams would provide all individuals with information about shelter, housing, and treatment resources. We continue to make progress on this goal, and as of this morning, 83 people have already been placed into housing created across the city. And there is space available for the remaining 62 residents of the encampments who were surveyed. Daily wellness checks continue to happen, especially as the temperatures have grown colder, and we continue to see people moving in every single day into the new housing that's been created. So this week marks a transition from a housing surge to community building and recovery. On Wednesday, the city will continue efforts to connect individuals with housing, take down the tents that are left behind and no longer needed, and begin clearing the street. City departments will continue to maintain their presence in the neighborhood beyond Wednesday and beyond this week as well. The Boston Public Health Commission will continue delivering critical health services. The Public Works Department will focus on investing in street repairs and regular cleanings to bring that area of the city back into repair. The Boston Police Department will ensure a safe environment for residents, businesses, and individuals accessing care. I want to note that the efforts to remove the encampments, some of which are very large fortified structures, will take more than one day, but these efforts begin in earnest on Wednesday. We are also working to deliver a medium and long-term plan. Last week, members of this team, standing behind me, visited Long Island. This is part of a comprehensive audit of all city-owned property and land to identify opportunities for permanent and supportive housing. We need, as these efforts go on, we need regional investment, collaboration, and action, and we will continue moving in consultation and coordination with the state and other municipalities.